Hello, everybody, and once again, welcome to Gulfstream today, and welcome to Gulfstream Park for a Sunday afternoon of world-class thoroughbred action. 11 races on tap here this afternoon. Another great day weather-wise with a fast main track and a firm turf course. Track announcer Pete Aiello joined by Acacia Courtney. Acacia, happy Sunday.
Happy Sunday, and this is our last day together for a little while. Ronnie Nicoletti will be back from vacation next week, but Pete, it's been a lot of fun doing these shows with you.
Well, it's always nice when Beauty and the Beast can take new heights. It's been over 20 years since that was originally released, and yet we're still doing it here at Gulfstream Park.
I think we're doing it well.
Now what am I supposed to say? We have 11 races on the card today. We have a variety of wagering options for you as Acacia mic drops me for not the first time today. First race has a super high five carryover of $5,383. Again, you have super high five opportunity when there are fields of 7 or more. First race qualifies as that, and $5,383 is what you're playing for in the high five.
Race 1 also starts the early pick 5 today, 50-cent wager. I'll have a ticket for you there.
We have a Rainbow 6 carryover this afternoon. The Rainbow 6 begins in race number 6 today. $41,185 your carryover figure. It's a 20-cent play, Rainbow 6 on race 6.
And no carryover in the late pick 5, but that starts in race number 7. So if you need another chance after the start of the Rainbow 6, you can have the late pick 5 once again, a 50-cent wager.
59 minutes now to the first race of the afternoon. We'll start it off at 7.5 furlongs over the turf course. Claimers, fillies, and mares in for a price tag of $10,000. Scratch number 3, Candy's Lady, a horse who maintains a very good form right now, is number 5, Key Agent, Acacia's top pick.
That's my pick in here, and we'll give you a look at my pick 5 ticket to start off the day. I did use 2 horses in here, including that number 5, Key Agent, who does seem to have recency on her side. Also using a horse that's a little bit of a price, but I think is on the improve, and that's the number 8, Wakachula. $36 for me. Wasn't able to single again today. I think it's a pretty tough race card to narrow in on.
Well, if I had a single, it would be on the second race. You used the horse, though, so that's all right. Horse Spotter Carl, I think, is singleable. That's probably the only single in the early pick 5. First race of the afternoon, again on turf at 7.5 furlongs. Key Agent has been awfully good. She's won 2 of her last 4. She was second in one of those races, including that was last time out behind Summers Back. Summers Back was dropping out of Stakes Company. She should like this company today.
And that was her first start for this barn. She finished a good second, beaten a length and a half, and she earned a 74 buyer in there. I thought it was a pretty solid performance at this claiming level, and as I mentioned, she's got the recency on her side versus someone like the number 4, Aeolian, who's coming off of about an 8-month layoff. Another horse that I used on there, but opted for Key Agent on top in this opener. I mentioned the number 8, Wakachula, who's trained by Tammy Levy. Juan Leyva going to be in the saddle. I think ran pretty well last time, even lacking room, didn't really have any running room at all. I think probably lost any potential momentum that she might have had in there, and I think it was actually a sneaky good race, setting her up for a better performance today.
She only got beat by 3 lengths to Key Agent 3 starts ago, and last time out she got beat by those same 3 lengths. So logic would stand that Wakachula has a big chance in here. I'm shocked at the amount of money she's taking. I thought that 12-1 may be ambitious, but 3-1 seems awfully short.
Not what I was expecting.
We'll turn now to the second race. Second race at 5.5 furlongs. Maidens on the bottom here, claiming price $10,000, and a field reduced by 2. Scratch the 2, My Friend the Way. Scratch the 3, Sweet Be a DJ. How do they beat Horse Spotter Carl?
Well, I don't know if they can. I agree with you that if you were going to look for a single in here, this would be the horse to single. That being said, it came off of about a 10-month layoff and finished second last time out, beaten about 5 lengths. Yes, certainly eligible to improve off of that. It was a second-place finish, but it was a pretty well-beaten second-place finish behind a horse that ran away from the rest of the field. This one's cutting back in distance as well, cutting back to the sprints. Didn't show anything in terms of finishing up in a sprint before that layoff. Obviously, with a 10-month layoff, there must have been something wrong for him to go from November to September. So this is the horse that I landed on. I agree he's singleable. If that, I guess that's a word, right? Singleable? Yeah, we're going to make it a word.
Yeah, we're going to make it a word.
We're going to make it a word. He's the one to be in here. But this race was an interesting one for me.
Well, Horsepower Carl still has a lot of upside. He's making his second start off that long layoff. They were asking a lot of him to be ready to go a mile first start in 10 months. He lost to a horse who was expected to win in Magno Ahemplo. I thought it was a great run from him. Here today, I would not like the fact that he showed speed off the shelf and now is cutting back, except there's no speed in here anyway, so he should be able to get forwardly placed under Jesus Rios.
Another horse that's coming off a big layoff is the number 8 Nutty Boy, who hasn't raced since February of 2015. He's only had 1 start. He's taking the blinkers off now. He's a half to a multiple graded stakes winner, Big John B, and graded stakes winner, Circle Unbroken. Antonio Sano, the trainer, Edgar Zayas in the saddle. A lot to like about this horse, except for the fact that he hasn't run since February of last year.
Well, I always look at the lineage that you mentioned being a half to Big John B. I look at that as a bad thing if you're in for maiden $10,000 claimers. It just goes to show you that you can be very well bred but still not have the talent to do much. And right now, Nutty Boy will have to prove it here today. This is his first chance to really win a race, as his first race was against much, much tougher.
Absolutely, and he's that was Special Weight Company. He's in for maiden 10, as you mentioned. Obviously, something amiss there for that particular horse. The number 6 Discreet Manner hasn't been able to get the job done in 10 starts, but I thought of this field, or excuse me, that's the 7 Discreet Manner and the 6 Private Safe, who's 0 for 14. Both of those horses, as I said, haven't been able to get the job done as of yet, but through the rest of the field.
Well, I think they'll complete the exotics here, 6 and 7 on the fringe. I do think the right horses here are the 4 and the 8. 4 wins as long as he doesn't bounce. The 8, if he's ready off the shelf, could prove a major threat. Race number 2 starts, the early pick 4. We'll turn now to the third race at 6 furlongs. We continue with maiden claimers on the main track. This race is at 6 furlongs, as I mentioned. A field of 8 in here. These are 2-year-olds, and a horse that likely goes heavily favored is all the way on the outside. Carries the Mike Rapoli colors, Overdone.
This one, I want to go back and show his last race. This is on August 20th, his only start to date. He was the number 8 there that day as well. It was a full field of 14. The winner was out ahead early. It's been on my mind. He pulled ahead of the rest of the field. You see there was going to be no catching him there. He was the number 8 in a field of 14. As I mentioned, I thought he came on very strongly at the end. You see him there putting in a big run. The number 1 ended up passing him, but he was game for a 3rd place finish that day, beaten about 2.5 with Eddie Castro in the saddle. And as I said, it was his first time to the racetrack. It was in a field with a lot of other horses. He figuring everything out. I think it was an educational performance.
Well, the number 7 horse in here, Willy Nilly, takes a major class drop and comes off the turf. He's 3-1 on the morning line, and this will be the sentimental pole for us, as David Braddy is going for career victory 1,000. Willy Nilly could give it to him under Tyler Gaffleon.
Dave Braddy got $9.99 yesterday, so he's looking for number 1,000, and his shot is with Willy Nilly. Last 3 races were on the turf. He moves back over to the dirt today, where he hasn't run since his debut, where he was beaten 13 lengths. Though that was in maiden Special Weight Company, so he's running against much easier today.
And he has some speed, so good luck to Willy Nilly and good luck to David Braddy in race number 3. You also use the number 3 here, Cowboy Chrome, who ran well in his debut.
He did. He ran okay in his debut on turf, and he ran much better when moving over to the dirt, though that was on a sloppy track. So he's never run on a fast track before, so this is a little bit unknown for him. He's dropping a little bit in class as well, and I think he might be in the right spot to improve.
Not an easy race. Race number 3, there is some depth to it. If you're a multi-leg player, we'd advise a few horses deep in race number 3. And go to the 4th race now on turf at 1 mile. These are maiden claimers. They're in for a $50,000 price tag. All the money's going to come in here on number 6, Pure Synergy. He took to the turf last time out and improved nicely to be a good second by exclusively ours. I'm not sold on him being a lock, so to speak, but some of the other horses in this race have some questions they need to answer if they want to beat Pure Synergy.
Well, you notice that I didn't single in here. I actually went 3 deep in this particular race because I put Pure Synergy on top. He's certainly going to be the one to beat. If you look on paper, if you look at his last race and how he finished up when moving over to the turf, yes, very impressive. Stanley Gold is the trainer. Luca Panici going to stay in the saddle. I also used the number 4, Road to Happiness, who I think can improve off of last time. He's going to add the blinkers today, and I want to show this performance from September 5th. He actually crossed the wire 4th, but he ended up being bumped up to 3rd through disqualification of a horse that just ran right into him. He's the number 9 there that day. Whiskey Train, who actually ended up winning the race. He was the number 7. You see him come running there along the rail, bumps right into the number 9, who bumps out into the number 3. Again, the number 9 was Road to Happiness. probably lost any momentum, any chance for any sort of better finish in there. The number 7, as I mentioned, went on to win that race, was disqualified and placed 6th. So I think Road to Happiness could certainly improve off of that and gets a big jockey change to Tyler Gaffalione.
I have nothing to add to that. I was going to add the big jockey change to Tyler Gaffalione, but you put that on there, so no further questions, Your Honor.
Well, I do want to give a quick mention to the number 8 Wine Critic, who has 1 start so far. Hopped at the start. It was really awkward to begin, very, very wide. I think you can chalk it up to inexperience as well. Takes the blinkers off. Maybe that's just helps him to see his competition a little bit more.
What you need me for? We'll move now to the 5th race, race number 5, $30,000 claimers at 6 furlongs. I guess I can set it up. It's like volleyball. I'll just toss it up. You spike it. 5th race, 6 furlongs.
Well, I have no hand-eye coordination, though, so we won't use that
That's
metaphor.
true. That's true. You are talking to my co-host who fell off the stage. I'm not making that up. Scratch number 2, my wish list. A field of 6 in here. Cancel the super high 5. There are just 6, but there's hard to settle in on one. Number 7, Miss Away, was so good last time out. Hasn't been seen since. Acacia, you're going with a horse who has been also pretty good lately. Lucid Lady, a winner last out.
Well, Miss Away was, yes, very good last time, but I talked yesterday about being able to cross off a good race as much as you can easily cross off a bad race, and I wondered just kind of where that performance came from. Had never shown that kind of early speed before. Yes, you could argue maybe with the barn change, certainly, and it finished better then, and jockey change to Marcos Meneses. Maybe that's just something that fit with this particular mare, but I opted instead for the number 5, Lucent Lady, who was very, very good last time. Actually wired the field to win by a length and a half and break her maiden last time out when moving over to the dirt from the turf. Ralph Nix has 2 in here. The number 1, Piaf, is another one that I ended up using, and but I put the 3, Evelyn's Dream, in second, who also moves back to dirt.
Evelyn's Dream had a sibling. I think it's a brother. Pop's Irish Rose is definitely her brother, and won the other day, so carries the colors of Sunshine Thoroughbreds. She should have won outright that day. She had a dead heat, but she didn't run last time out as well. Michelle Nihe horse is round into form, so she's in good form. I like her here.
She is indeed, and I think that she's definitely one you have to use. I mentioned the 1, Piaf, whose last 2 starts were on the turf. Ralph Nix is the trainer. I want to give you a trainer stat with the past 5 years moving turf to dirt in the sprints. Just some extra information to have on a few of his horses in here. 15 for 64, 23% win in the money 58% of the time, and a positive ROI of 262. This horse really intrigues me. She's only run once on the dirt. It was in her debut, July of 2015. She won impressively that day, showing some speed. Wasn't seen again for 11 months, where we saw her then on the turf. So she's a little bit of a question mark for me, but one I felt I had to throw on.
Yeah, there is a class drop involved with Piaf as well, and they're trying to fix something that clearly is broken, but that was maybe mitigated by the fact that she was on turf, so can't argue there. I can't hang my hat on anybody in this race. For everything we can say good about a runner, we can also probably play devil's advocate, but this is a tough race. Only 6 in here, but all of them have a chance.
Yes, and there's quite a bit of early speed, potential early speed anyway, in this race too, so it'll be interesting to see how the pace scenario plays out.
Well, that's race number 5 on the program. We're going to take a brief timeout. Race 6 is up next right after this, including Acacia's Rainbow 6.
Next January, 12 horses, $1 million buy-in for a $12 million purse. It is the world's richest race. It is the Pegasus World Cup.
And we're back now with a preview of race number 6 on the program. Track announcer Pete Aiello, joined by Acacia Courtney. We're taking you through the Sunday card of racing in Hallandale Beach. We're up to race number 6 now, which starts the 20 cent Rainbow 6. We're on turf, 7.5 furlongs, scratch the 1 and 10, a field of 8. Tough race to start the sequence here.
Not an easy one. We'll give you a look at my ticket. Again, wasn't able to single in. I went too deep in here because there were a couple other races that I felt I needed to go a little bit more, actually a little bit more expensive than I usually do. 57.60 for me today. I used the 2 Annio Schiller and the 3 Patient Digna in this opener, but as Pete mentioned, a wide open race for sure. Race number 8 is a maiden special weight. I think a very tough one with, we'll talk about a bit later, some horses coming out of the same race actually went 4 deep in there once again. 57.60.
Well, I get harassed for the last 3 days by fans and coworkers about not being my usual argumentative self because I'm working with you. And I tried to explain to them, as I did yesterday, that I don't argue when I agree. It's tough to just argue for the sake of arguing. Now, in this particular race, I don't like the 2 or the 3, so I'll argue with you a little bit.
Who do you like?
I like number 7, Quinta Tata, number 9, Dancing Wind, and the 6, the Chief Source. Those would be my top 3.
I used the number 9, and I understand that reasoning. I'll go and talk a little bit more about why I used the 2 and the 3. Both of them have big question marks for sure. The number 3, Patient Digna, was in the money in her last 2 starts. She was second on a good turf last time out and third prior to that. I think if you go back and look at her start 2 back, she didn't have as much running room as she probably would have needed, and I think that you can kind of be a little bit more forgiving of that particular race. I think that she improved certainly from her start prior to that. I don't think that she'll be so far back. The number 2, Annio Schiller, was well beaten last time in her first start against winners, but the winner that day, Vineyard Nina, won by 5 1/4, so that beaten 9 lengths is not really that big as it may seem on paper. She won impressively when breaking her maiden 2 back when she finally dropped to the level of where she needed to be. I think that this lower level is probably not where the connections anticipated her being, giving her breeding, but I think that this is where she needs to be with the type of running that she has. I used the number 9, Dancing Wild, who's dropping in class, and I think certainly eligible to improve, so I agree with you there.
Well, that's good. Number 3, Patient Digna, has no turn of speed. Talked about yesterday with Traffic Express. There are certain horses that you just get to see enough times that you know what their abilities are. Patient Digna has ability, that's true. She's in good form, that's true. But she has no turn of speed. And if I'm going to try to bet a horse on the turf at this level, I want them to have some sort of turn of foot. She doesn't have any, so as the morning line favorite, I'll try to beat her. Annio Schiller has phony form galore to me. Her race when she broke her maiden was against a field of horses that will probably never win. I'm sorry, but that's just the reality of the situation. She was a bad favorite last time out. She ran behind Vineyard Nina, who came back to run okay. I think that those 2 horses will take money, so I'll try to beat them with horses who will not, including the 6, the Chief Source, who drew away to win and beat 2 horses who would come back to win, including Starship Carnegie. Quinta Tata was super good last time out. She doesn't make Acacia's top 4, which I think is a mistake. Queen of Silence, extra game in that performance. Quinta Tata could not get by. She had no place to work in her race 2 back. She is a sneaky horse. Her figures every bit as fast as Patient Digna. Price will be better.
I can certainly understand using Quinta Tata at a bit of a price. The reason that I couldn't use the Chief Source or Dancing Wind on top is because they still had some glaring questions for me. The Chief Source took her 12 starts to break her maiden. When she did so, she finally got the setup that she really needed. Last time that she had run at this level and distance that she broke her maiden at, I'm talking about a couple starts back, yes, she finished a decent third, but it was behind some horses that I think that she probably had the ability to beat, which she then did go on to beat Starship Carnegie in when breaking her maiden. I agree. She was on the improve for sure. Dancing Wind is going to drop in class. That's why I used her. Last time that she ran the 7.5 furlongs, though, against tougher, but she was beaten by 5.5 lengths that day. So horses that I think that you have to use, but just trying to go with other ones that I think might be able to get the job done in this field.
We're taking the gloves off in race number 6. We'll start the Rainbow 6. Acacia going too deep. I think you need to go deeper than that to stay alive. If you don't stay alive, we can always enjoy the late pick 5. If I'm right, you'll need a late pick 5 ticket. Race number 7, an allowance optional claiming a race. It is the Sunday feature race. These are 2-year-olds and a pretty good field. We talked about it with our colleague Ed Ray this morning. This race is a pretty competitive one. There's a lot of different ways to go in here, including a big winner of the maiden ranks last time in Celtic Moonlight, and a horse who finished third behind 3 rules, Francesco Appeal.
Well, we'll start talking about Francesco Appeal. As you mentioned, finished third behind 3 rules. That was in the Bird on the Wire stake, beaten about 5 1/4 lengths. But then you see that 3 rules won by 5. So Francesco Appeal ran pretty solidly in there, has some clear-cut speed as well. And I think that this is a very solid horse who's certainly in a good spot here today, going to be the one to beat on paper and off of that most recent performance. Broke his maiden by more than 7 lengths. And want to give a stat on trainer Larry Pilati in the past 5 years with 2-year-olds in dirt sprints. 29 for 137, 21% win, 74 for 137, 54% of the time in the money, very strong there, and nearly an even ROI at 193.
Yeah, and there's something interesting about this race. We have a couple of fillies in this race, and including number 2, Mia, who I think is a pace player, but probably not a player for a major award. I'd like Cali, California, if this race was against the the girls. It's not, though, but she actually beat Celtic Moonlight, who's also a filly in here. So we have 3 fillies. Francesco Appeal has the edge in that regard, I guess.
Absolutely. 3 fillies in here, and I use the number 4 Celtic Moonlight, who I was just so impressed by her last performance, and she ended up pulling away 1 by 8. Yes, she was well beaten by Cali, California in her debut, and yes, she had a good track, but Cali, California, she ran okay in the Florida Sire Desert Vixen last time out, all things considered, that she was at the back of the pack. I think you put a line through that, and she certainly had some good form, though her first 2 starts were on tracks with moisture in them. I opted for Celtic Moonlight. I like Luca Panici in the saddle. I think that this is a horse, even as a filly, she has the ability to hit the board, or maybe even better in here. Also use the number 1 Red Crescent, who won nicely at the 6 furlong distance that I really like. Has the experience at that distance there, and a win at that distance in particular with Edgar Zayas, and very nice on the work tab as well.
Well, listen, these are 2-year-olds of the A other than variety. There are going to be improvements made. I mean, if you look at Celtic Moonlight alone, she got beat 8 lengths to Cali, California in her debut. She gets a pass for that because Michelle Nihe doesn't win first time out. They improve as they get going. She won well again last time out. She should improve again today. She'll need to, figure-wise, to handle Francesco Appeal. But number 6, Cinderella El Chrome, is also a horse who had the misfortune of racing against 3 rules in each of his last 2 races. One of many with a chance in race number 7.
Absolutely. A really exciting race for the 2-year-olds there.
The 8th race on the program starts the 50-cent Elite Pick 4. This race is a maiden special weight at 1 mile. We have a variety of horses coming out of the same race, and I'm going to show you that race momentarily as you have to draw your own conclusions. I have one opinion of it. Maybe you'll have a different opinion of it, but the number 2, More Alex, the number 4, Fueled by Drama, and the number 5, Tamper, all coming out of the same race. We'll take a look at it now. The number 4, or other than More Alex, is on the far outside here. Tamper is from between horses, and then Fueled by Drama is not on the screen yet, trying to run on from the back. As they turn for home, the eventual winner is Lottery Ticket, who's up on the outside in the 2-path, trying to track down Royal Pavilion. Now, for me, I thought at some point these horses are going to make a bid at him, but it just never seemed to materialize. Lottery Ticket grinding away, grinding away, grinding away. Royal Pavilion is a tired racehorse. Acacia, the horse who's 5th there, is Fueled by Drama. To me, that's the one with the upside. Rider switch here today from Chris McIntosh to Juan Leyva. The blinkers go on. Late interest showed me enough to think that his horse will improve for trainer Alfred McIntosh. And I guess the good news is, in terms of controversy, you have 4 horses here, and the 4 is not one of them.
No, he's not. I opted for the number 5, Tamper, who I think drifted a bit in the stretch. If he's actually able to stay straight today with Cornelio Velasquez in the saddle, I think that he's the one that's going to be able to improve most off of that race. He showed a little bit more early turn of foot. Fueled by Drama was the trailer last time out. Maybe with the addition of the blinkers, he's not going to be so far back for sure. Yes, he made up some ground and he kicked in. Didn't make up enough, in my opinion. I thought that Tamper, if he's able to stay straight, might be able to improve off of that effort, just because he did show a little bit more early on interest. The number 1, Prominence, it was a $1.1 million, $1,100,000 purchase, only run twice, and hasn't really shown much.
Oops.
Yeah.
Well, the thing that's interesting, I'm going to go back and talk about that race we're just talking about. We're drawing different conclusions out of the same race. The one thing I will give you about Tamper was on the chase through a deadly second quarter. They went 22-3 to the second quarter of that race. If you're on the chase doing that, you're the one that's running into that fast pace. So Tamper probably had more of a reason to tire, so he still ran well. I'd use them both, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and that's fair. And Fueled by Drama certainly could improve off of that effort. Yes, I agree with you there. Just opted for Tamper to improve a bit more.
Outside horse number 8, Mr. Chaplin, should at least get some airtime. Giuseppe Idicerni, a first-time starter. Misael Jaramillo back from a successful trip to Parks yesterday. Delta Bluesman, a winner of their feature. And Mr. Chaplin has workouts that are workmanlike, as Ron Nicoletti would say. I'll be interested to see what he shows. He is a son of Tappet, however, that they paid over $650,000 for.
Giuseppe also has the number 7 Tagore, who is a $375,000 purchase, so some expensive, pretty nicely bred horses in this field in here. I also use the number 3 Devastating, who's coming off of about a year layoff. It's a first-time gelding and adding the blinkers on. His most recent start, which of course, yes, was back in September at Monmouth, but it was in Sapling behind eventual Grade 3 winner and Grade 1 Haskell-placed Sunny Ridge.
Nothing wrong with that. We pretty much talked about everybody. Should we mention somebody else? 6 Zamzam's the only one who we didn't give any airtime to. He just got beat for a tag last time out. He'll need to improve. Race number 8 starts the 50-cent late pick 4. We'll go to the 9th race now. Florida Breds take center stage, and we move back to the Gulfstream turf course at 1 mile. These are fillies and mares of the A other than variety, or in for a price tag of $16,000. In horse racing, it's never easy to win 2 in a row. It's even tougher to win 3 in a row. We have a horse here that's going for 6 in a row, Defying Gravity.
Defying Gravity has just been unstoppable. You see, I used her on top once again. Notice I didn't actually single in here. She's going for 6 in a row, yes, and she's just been really stellar in her past few starts. She's staying against this level, and she's running against state-bred competition here.
For me, this is a drop-in class off of her last race.
I
She
agree.
beat a better field last time out than she will face here today. The only chink in the armor, but she's somewhat going away from this, is that she used to be a horse who was a complete victim of the pace. Not so much lately. She's laid much closer under Cornelio Velasquez. There's an article in today's Racing Form about horses and jockeys getting along well. We had a winner yesterday, by the way, under that same angle, an unknown who paid $12. Defying Gravity and Cornelio Velasquez. He seems to be the key to her. He's never been beat when on her back.
No, he hasn't, and as I said, they've been pretty unstoppable, won by open lengths all of those 5 times. I also used the number 7, Reagan's Odyssey, who does have that early speed. Defying Gravity can certainly sit just behind that and has some versatility. I agree with you, she's not a victim of the pace anymore, but Reagan's Odyssey, the 7, does have the speed. Finished third, beaten about 2.5 lengths at 1 1/16 last time out, cutting a little bit back to the mile here, and then the 6, Miss Dude, Broker Maiden, last time out.
Well, let's look now to the 10th race. It's all about Defying Gravity in the 9th race, a potential single for 6 in a row under Cornelio Velasquez. 10th race on the main track at 6 furlongs. Claimers in for a price tag of $12,500. This race, tough. A nice field assembled here, a field of 10. And of the 10, I think there's probably 7 of them who can be accorded some opportunity in here. I'm looking over my shoulder at Ice Coffee, who is your top pick in this race. Blew a big lead, but it was flattered because Norman's Hero came back to win again.
And that's exactly my thinking there. You know, I don't normally like to pick horses that consistently end up getting beat. The last 3 races for this horse were second place finishes. Usually that's a really big question mark and concern for me. If you look back at that most recent race, didn't have the lead at the start, was actually pressured. And I was wondering, looking at this horse, does he need to be just loose on the lead to win? And that's not the case at all. I thought he ran very solidly last time out. Norman's Hero came rolling, and it was favoring closers that day on the track as well. And as you mentioned, Norman's Hero came back to win again. I thought it was a very solid performance. Does have the speed, doesn't necessarily need to be right on the lead, and I think he's well spotted today.
I got news for you. I think he makes the lead if he wants it, whether he needs it or not. I think he'll get there, Ice Coffee. There's not a ton of speed in here. I don't think they'll be going 45 and 2 to the half mile anyway. Ice Coffee, definitely a good play here.
And I use the number 5, Runaway Bull, who's a bit of a price on the morning line, but I think is going to be able to improve. The last start was a sealed, wet, fast track, well beaten that day. You can put a line through it. Finished a solid 4th on the turf, 2 back. The last time that he ran on the dirt was 6 furlongs, 3 starts back, and that's where he broke his maiden. He showed some speed that day, actually wired the field, ended up winning. Had tried the turf prior to that, and you keep going back, and he was on the dirt going 6.5 furlongs the end of May, finished a good 2nd. I think he's where he wants to be.
Nice price here on this horse. This horse lost to Norman's Hero last time as well. However, Norman's Hero beat Runaway Bull 26 lengths. Iced Coffee only got beat by him by a length. Certainly mitigating factors there, but the price will be right if you like Runaway Bull.
A little bit of a price underneath there. And then Jose Pinchin has Defying Gravity. And the last he has Parkour, the number 7 in here, who I do think will be relatively forwardly placed. I don't think that he'll be maybe pushing Iced Coffee as much as he was last time out. He's coming off a little bit of a freshening. Last start was on July 31st on the turf. Moves back over to the dirt today.
Speaking of turf, we go to the turf next for the Sunday finale. It's race number 11, fillies and mares of the $12,500 variety. A field of 10 in this race, including some horses that should have won already. Number 8, My Kind of Cat, and number 10, Proud Mary Strikes. I'm actually disappointed Ron's not here because he's picked Hot Anastasia in her last 3 races. I've called him nuts in his last 3 races, but she actually ran excellent last time out. I like a horse from a different race. I like the 10, Proud Mary Strikes. You used her 2nd.
I did, and I think that she's going to be one of the logical ones in here. I actually went with the number 9 Along the Trail on top, and here's another thing. I don't normally like to put horses coming off a long layoff on top because you don't always know how they're going to run, but this horse hasn't run since December, yes, but is trying the turf for the first time, and that's what I really like. A drop in class as well. Josie Gomez is going to be on board. This one is a have-to multiple stakes winner, Miss Frost, who won 4 times on the turf. The dam never raced, but the Grand Dam Pharma, if you go 2 generations back, was a 7-time winner on the turf, plus a Grade 1 winner on the turf. I think the turf pedigree is there. Really interesting to see how this filly does off the layoff.
Solid information. I love it. Along the Trail will be a nice price as well. The 9 horse in the finale. The 10, Proud Mary Strikes, will show you her last race now. You can pretty much pencil this in for her race 2 back as well. She finishes well. Dulce Surprise is on the engine right now. As you can see, they were the 2 principals in the wagering. Dulce Surprise got a better trip than Proud Mary Strikes did, simply from a tactical standpoint. But Proud Mary Strikes actually is going to motor. She's run 5/8 on the turf twice. She's been 2nd twice. It's hard to fault her form. She'll take money, though, so maybe Acacia's sneaky pedigree plays a better way to go.
That's kind of what I was looking at here. I think that Proud Mary Strikes is definitely a must-use in here. Going that 5 furlongs, I think it was a solid performance last time out. I used the number 5 to start, who has some early speed. I think that's maybe what Proud Mary Strikes is going to be running at.
To start has run twice since Hot Anastasia and My Kind of Cat have run. I think that's amusing unto itself. She was a 4-5 favorite just 8 days ago. I wish I was here for that. 4-5 on her last time
on the dirt, too.
Yeah. Oh, I wish I was here, but I wasn't. I'm here today, however, and we're 28 minutes away from our opening contest. 11 races on the card today. As you've heard from us, some great betting opportunities in South Florida today. Nice weather, so fast main track and a firm turf.
Pete, it's been a lot of fun.
Absolutely. We enjoyed your time with us, and we hope to see you in just a few minutes as you'll be previewing race number 1. I'll be back momentarily with a reprise of the Scratches and Changes on a Sunday afternoon at Gulfstream Park.
Good luck today, everyone.
What do I love about horse racing?